What does a philanthropist look like to you? Who comes to mind? Bill Gates? Warren Buffett? Some rich older man donating millions to a university or a hospital? For most of us, philanthropy feels distant, exclusive, reserved for someone else. But what if we misunderstood what a philanthropist truly is? What if I told you anyone can be a philanthropist? The Greek root of philanthropy literally means love of people, not love of buildings, not love of endowments, not love of prestige, love of people. In modern terms, philanthropy is the active effort to promote the welfare of others. And if philanthropy simply means loving people, then every single one of us is capable of it. What if I told you I can take your $100 and turn it into $20,000 in 90 minutes? Sounds too good to be true, right? I'm not talking about a magic trick. I'm talking about the magic of collective giving, or giving circles. So what is a giving circle? Giving circles are not new. They've existed for thousands of years across cultures. Susus in West Africa, Waqf in the Islamic tradition, Tandas in Mexico, Geh in Korea. Different names, same principle. People pooling resources, supporting one another, strengthening the collective welfare of their communities. These traditions remind us we have always been held together by shared responsibility. Collective giving shows up in many forms today: political giving groups, Giving Tuesday campaigns, community foundations. But at its heart, a giving circle is simple. It is neighbors choosing to care about neighbors. Here's how our giving circle works. First, we gather. We bring together people with shared values. A giving circle takes your mind, your talents, and your financial ability seriously. It makes generosity social, strategic, intentional, because we all know we can go further together than we can alone. Then we pledge. This is where the magic happens. Members pledge $100 each quarter. When 200 people pledge $100, that becomes $20,000 in a single meeting. For us, we award 4 local nonprofits various grants with that $20,000. The largest grant we award is $10,000 to a single organization, and that impact is life-changing for so many smaller nonprofits. That $100 might help plant a community garden, counsel someone in a mental health crisis, house a mother and her children fleeing domestic violence, or provide scholarship funds so a student can continue her education. Small amounts, massive impact. Next, we nominate. Members nominate local nonprofits. For example, one of our members nominated a local organization that serves students here in Hillsborough County's public school system. She was impressed by their beliefs that when students have access to clean clothing and hygiene items, they are far more likely to show up to class and succeed in school. Then we learn. Once vetted, the nonprofit leaders are invited to speak to the members to present their work. We learn the story about Jaron, who is at a court-ordered alternative school here in the county. He was constantly getting in trouble for skipping school and his behavior. He always avoided being in the classroom. So when he finally opened up about why he wanted to get kicked out of school, he explained that he did not have access to a washer and dryer for multiple years, so his clothes were not clean. He and his mom didn't have a stable place to stay, so he can only wash his clothes once every 2 weeks at his aunt's house. During those off times, his clothes were filthy and smelly. In order to avoid embarrassment, he chose to get in trouble, which got him kicked out of school. Once the staff addressed that basic need of just giving him clean clothes, everything changed. He started coming to school, he focused on his schoolwork, and ultimately got off probation. Hillsborough County is the 7th largest school district in the nation. 3,800 students experience homelessness. With our grant of $10,000, we were able to serve about 400 students and provide them with school-appropriate clothing, such as tops, bottoms, underwear, socks, and shoes, and hygiene items like soap, deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes, and feminine hygiene products. Our support helps students like Jaren focus on their education, not whether their clothes are clean. After a nonprofit presents this kind of information and you learn about the people in your local community, you start to ask questions and you listen. And this is where something powerful happens. You begin to see the angels walking among you. The nonprofit leader who works 14-hour days just to keep families housed. The counselor answering suicide hotline calls on holidays. The civil rights advocate fighting quietly for dignity and justice. These are the people improving our neighborhoods every single day. Now we vote. It's the hardest part. Choosing who receives our highest grant, our collective gift. And finally, we partner. Because giving circles don't just give money. Members volunteer, advocate, raise awareness about the incredible work being done by these nonprofits for our community, and connect their struggling neighbors to these nonprofits with the resources and support they need to thrive. When you think of impact, you don't need a lot of money. You just need some friends with shared values. When we are united, we multiply every contribution. So, how did I get here? In 2012, I joined a relaxed giving circle, just people supporting one another and pooling their money to help a particular cause. I loved the idea, but I learned something important. Generosity without shared values can drift. One day, we were asked to fund a man who took homeless men to baseball games, buying them beer and cigars so they can feel seen. His intentions were kind, but for me, that wasn't aligned with my Muslim values. So after 6 years, I took a leap and started something new. And here's the truth. I couldn't do it alone. I needed friends. So I called on my Muslim sisters. I needed community. I needed people who could believe we can build something together. That's the beauty of being held together. Collective giving is democratizing and diversifying philanthropy. Gone are the days when only billionaires shape communities. In a giving circle, everyone belongs. Some members live paycheck to paycheck. Some live off of Social Security. Some are financially thriving. But together, they are powerful. Did you know only 8% of philanthropic dollars goes to communities of color? And only 2% goes to women and girls initiatives. But giving circles change that. And we have proof. Research that was done by Philanthropy Together said that in the last 4 years, we've seen a 50% increase in Black, Indigenous, people of color representation among funded charities through collective giving efforts. Our giving circle pushes the boundaries of what gets funded, and we help to increase those numbers here in our Tampa chapter and in our Dallas chapter. When we gather locally, we amplify voices that traditional philanthropy overlooks. And you know what else? Giving circles transform the members themselves. Research shows that participation improves confidence, agency, health, and civic engagement. 83% of members say that they feel more empowered to take action in their communities. Because when you learn about your community's needs, you can't unlearn them. When you learn that Mother's Day is the highest suicide call day at your local crisis center, you call someone. When you hear about food insecurity in your zip code, you act and volunteer at the local food bank. When you meet the people doing the work, you care differently. It's real. It's in your neighborhood. Knowledge becomes connection, connection becomes action, action becomes healing. Philanthropy means love of people. And in a world that often feels divided, tired, dark, we need to love people again. We need to remember that angels walk among us. Nonprofit leaders, volunteers, neighbors, quietly holding our communities together. But they cannot do it alone. We are not meant to solve our greatest challenges alone. We are meant to be held together. When we pool our resources, we pool our hope. When we amplify local nonprofits, we amplify love and action. When we give together, we rise together. So if you're thinking about starting your own giving circle, check out Philanthropy Together's website. They have tons of free resources that will help you get started. So maybe the future of healing our communities doesn't depend on billionaires. Maybe it depends on us. a circle, a shared commitment, a love of people. That is philanthropy, that is resilience, and that is how we remain held together. Thank you.